Okay, so get this right. Solana's co-founder, Anatoly Yakovenko, he's making some waves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's publicly opposing former President Trump's idea for a national cryptocurrency reserve.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, and you'd think, right, like something crypto would be all for this, right?
Yeah.
Government support and all that.
Yeah, you'd think so, for sure.
But that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating.
Absolutely. It's a real head scratcher.
So we're going to deep dive into this whole situation.
Yeah, let's unpack it.
With this whole upcoming White House crypto summit thing, and you have, Michael Saylor's going to be there.
Right. Big player.
Red Garlinghouse.
Yeah, the Ripple guy.
Yeah. So to kick things off, and maybe you can break it down for me and for the listeners, what is a crypto reserve?
Okay, so imagine like, you know how governments have those stashes of gold?
Uh-huh.
Or like strategic oil reserves?
Right.
A crypto reserve, it's basically the same idea, except instead of physical stuff, it's digital.
Okay.
It's cryptocurrency. Governments, they hold on to these reserves because they think, hey, this stuff is going to be super valuable down the road.
Right. It's an investment for the future.
Exactly.
So then why is Yakovenko so opposed to this idea? I mean, it seems like, kind of a good thing for crypto.
Right. Well, here's the thing, right? He's coming at it from this whole decentralization angle.
Okay, I've heard that word a lot.
Yeah.
But what does it actually mean in this context? Like, why is that such a big deal for him?
So decentralization is really the bedrock of cryptocurrencies.
Okay.
It's this idea that no one person or entity, no government or bank has control over the system.
Gotcha.
Like, think about the internet, right? How it was built to be decentralized.
Right.
No one country could control it.
Uh-huh.
So Yakovenko, he's worried that if the government gets to manage a crypto reserve, that's going to mess with that whole principle of decentralization.
So it could lead to manipulation.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Censorship.
Exactly. It's like opening a back door.
So he's saying, like, if you want to see decentralization fail, just put the government in charge.
So it's not like he's inherently anti-government or anything.
No, not necessarily.
It's more about preserving the core fundamentals of how crypto works.
Right. He's a purist in a way.
So is he completely against the concept of a reserve then?
Well, he's not against the idea itself, more like how it would be done.
Okay, so what's his alternative then?
He's saying that if there has to be a reserve, it should be built on objectively measurable requirements.
So like a set of clear rules.
Yeah, almost like a checklist.
To determine what goes in and what doesn't.
Exactly.
So that could, potentially address those concerns about government meddling.
Or absolutely. I think that's his point,
Yeah.
Like, if you have these predefined criteria, things like market capitalization,
Right.
security protocols, transaction speeds, the underlying technology, and a cryptocurrency has to meet those to get into the reserve. Then it becomes more transparent, less room for bias or favoritism.
Right, like political influence or something.
Exactly. It takes the guesswork out.
Okay, but then wouldn't that potentially exclude newer projects?
That's a good point. It could. That's the balancing act, right?
Yeah.
How do you ensure fairness?
Right.
And then you have this other point he makes. Yakovenko prefers the idea of state-run crypto reserves.
Oh, interesting.
Instead of one big national one.
So like spreading the risk.
Exactly. Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right. So if the feds mess up.
Exactly. Then there's a backup.
And this isn't just some theory, right? I mean, like 26 U.S. states, they've already got these Bitcoin reserve bills.
It's happening. Yeah. It's a trend.
Wow.
And it could, reshape the landscape faster than anything at the national level.
Wow. Okay, so now speaking of reshaping the landscape, there's this whole thing about Brad Garlinghouse.
Ah, yes. The Ripple CEO. Lots of buzz about that.
Yeah, so what's the deal with him?
Well, there's this unconfirmed claim going around that he, urged Trump to include Solana in the National Reserve.
Okay.
And the thinking is that this would somehow legitimize XRP.
Oh, interesting. But wait, how so? How would including Solana legitimize XRP?
So the theory is that Solana is seen as, a reputable project. So if it's in the reserve alongside XRP,
right,
then it kind of makes XRP look better by association.
Oh, like a boost by proximity.
Exactly. It gives it more credibility.
Fascinating. Like a little bit of a power play there.
It's all about perception and influence.
Yeah, but we got to remember, this is all based on unnamed sources.
Right, like grain of salt, for sure.
Right.
And to make things even more interesting, Yakovenko hasn't actually confirmed if he'll be at the White House Crypto Summit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So everyone else is going to be there, Garlinghouse, all the big names.
Right.
But Yakovenko's staying quiet.
So is that like a silent protest then?
It's possible, right? Like he's making a statement by not showing up.
It definitely raises some questions.
Yeah, is he trying to send a message or is it just a scheduling conflict? We don't know for sure.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second, like recap, right?
Yeah.
We have Yakovenko pushing back against this government-controlled reserve.
Right, he's concerned about decentralization.
Exactly, and he's proposing these alternatives that, are already gaining traction at the state level.
Yep, and you have these behind-the-scenes maneuvers from other players, potentially,
Right, like Garlinghouse.
trying to influence the whole
So
thing.
it's a really complex situation.
Absolutely.
And it kind of leads to this bigger question, right? Like, how is all this going to play out? This whole clash between centralized power, like governments.
Right, and decentralized technology.
Exactly. Like, are governments going to embrace the true spirit of cryptos, or are they going to try and, control it and regulate it?
It's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah. And what does all this mean for, the everyday person who's just trying to wrap their head around crypto?
Right, it's not just about the tech anymore.
Yeah, it's about the implications.
It's about power control, who gets to decide.
Wow. So as we all continue to learn about this space, I guess this tension is something we really need to keep in mind.
Absolutely, it's a key factor. It's going to shape the future of this technology.
Wow. Great food for thought. Thanks for breaking it all down.
My pleasure. Always happy to dive in.
All right, listeners, until next time, keep those digital eyes peeled.
And stay curious.
And we'll catch you in the next deep dive.
Isn't it?
Bye.